Are you frontin' on me and I'm the main one crying? Are you blaming on me and you the main one lying? Are you threatening me then I'm the main one crying? Just tryna be your everything, main one crying. Are you fighting on me and I'm the main one crying? Are you blaming on me and you the main one crying? Are you threatening me then I'm the main one?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna pick it up. That's okay.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of The Lab where we explore the stories and the people behind the art that we love. And today, we are in sunny Atlanta. We came all the way to Atlanta to find an amazing artist by the name of Faif Quin, period. I'm so excited. I'm really excited. We went through hell and high water to get to this place today, okay? So we're gonna give y'all a good interview, okay? So typically, how we like to start is I like for people to, of course, like tell people who you are. You already did that. But what you do and then where you from and stuff like that. So go ahead.
Well, nice to meet you guys. Pleasure to be on the show.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Faif Quin. I am a fine art photographer and filmmaker, local to Atlanta, but East Coast baby, and first generation citizen. And you said about what I do, and
I think you said it.
that's all of it. Okay, I answered the question.
Yeah, you had it. So we like to start also just from the very beginning.
Okay.
So we're really into like the origin, like how you got started doing what you do, and kind of what sparked the passion for it. So tell me about your entrance into photography in general.
Into photography. Okay. So first generation citizen, Liberian American.
Okay.
West African culture is very one-track minded into what professions, are expected. So I don't think I was very intentional about picking up a camera. I think I always wanted to, and so that was just something that was always there that I probably at some point unfortunately accepted that I was just always going to just have to be adjacent to.
Yeah.
With that being said, I can trace back maybe like 10, 12 years to when I first started like seeing images like happen in life. Like, go somewhere and you look in a direction and you're like, wow, that would be a great photo. I would say that's when that started to happen. At its core, like narrative and storytelling pushes my work. And with that, I would say that started much, 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 much younger. It doesn't seem like it, but I've always been very introverted. I love spending time with myself.
It does seem like that.
Okay,
For
cool.
sure. Go ahead.
Cool. I would sit and fantasize. I was left alone a lot, and I would sit and just fantasize and tell endless stories in my mind, and I could keep myself busy for hours. And so that's just something that I think translated into all of the art practices that I engage with today.
Yeah.
Just stories coming out of my mind.
Wow. You said something I want to just a little bit. You said your family's from Liberia, right?
Yes.
So you're first generation?
First generation citizen, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Born here.
Born here?
Yes.
Okay. So what was that like when you said, hey, I want to do photography rather than the typical, because most of my friends, and I know some of y'all watching, if your family is from Africa or the Caribbean, you're going into STEM. You're absolutely going into STEM. How was that when you made that decision for yourself to do this?
Like I said, it wasn't planned. The official plan was either science. They thought I would be a really good lawyer because of my eloquence, that's how they put it.
Yeah.
And my dad specifically thought I would be a really good journalist, which is unique. But Liberia is unlike a lot of other West African countries in that the country itself has been destabilized for so long that the things that are held as valuable aren't as easily maintained. So like with Nigeria, education is valued, and then if you go to Nigeria, degrees abound, degrees to the left of me, degrees to the right of me. In Liberia, education is very valued, but that's because it's so rare there. And like to get your hands on school was something that was like sought after. So it felt like, you know, we should be honored to like go pursue a career in STEM. Things happened in my family that kind of broke my family down and made it so that, you know, the push that would have been there just wasn't. And so when it came time for me to focus on my future, I was not focused on my future. And when it came time to decide what to do with my future, I made a very quick, impulsive decision that would turn into the rest of my career. And I was like, I want to go make movies. I'm going to film school, and that's what I did. And because there was no stability at the time, there was nothing there to stop me.
Like you had to make that decision.
It was just that, or I'm going to be in that town forever.
Where's your, like, when you guys came here, where were you guys living?
Family washed ashore on Florida, and that's where I was born. And then we moved to Georgia to build, you know, like a life for ourselves. And that kind of fell apart after 2008. You know, the American dream, it was the white picket fence. It was all of that. Fell apart after 2008. It was really, looking back, trying to maintain that off of like no generational wealth just wasn't gonna work. But that's besides the point. That didn't work out. So we found family up in New Hampshire, and we stayed with them until we were able to get on our feet. And that's basically where I went from being a child to being like a college student, essentially.
Got you.
So when I say East Coast baby, I mean that. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, through and through, top to bottom. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then I wanted to go to film school. Full Sail was my choice, and where I went, I wanted my bachelor's as soon as possible. I wanted to get to work. It was a really good school. The reason I laughed is because it wasn't the school I wanted to go to. I wanted to go to USC, but I wasn't properly prepared for American culture, and that's nobody's fault. So went to film school in Florida, and as soon as I went to school, I was like, I know where I want to go after college. I want to go to Atlanta. Here I am.
You've been here since?
Been here since.
Do you do your art full time?
Yes.
Wow.
I side hustle crazy.
But it's okay. But the fact that you're doing that,
yes,
that's a dream for most people.
Yes, it is. I hold that with great weight daily, because it reminds me not to take it for granted. And it's really easy to take it for granted, because art literally comes from everything you experience. And sometimes you experience like depression, laziness, anxiety, imposter syndrome, or just I don't want to do it. And you gotta do it. You gotta recognize the room that you're in, the stage that you're on, and take the moment.
Girl, it's feeling like an Oprah interview. Oh my God. Jesus. Okay, cool. So we're at Future Gallery here in Atlanta, and your work is in an art exhibit. So the Politically Incorrect exhibition centers around the tension, complexities, and realities of the world we're living in through an uncensored artistic expression. So what made you choose this particular piece for the art exhibition, and what were you hoping that people took away from it?
When I first started taking my art really seriously, like as a business seriously, the question was no longer, what are you going to do, like for work? The question was, who are you as an artist? And I tried to take on so many different personalities. I tried to be the street artist, the street photographer. I tried to be the nature photographer. I tried to be the portrait photographer. It wasn't fulfilling.
Yeah.
What was fulfilling was talking about politics, talking about Black people, what we experience in this country. It's unique. It's like when you really sit down and get into the nitty gritty of like from top to bottom what this country is, it is, you can obsess for years over what it means to be a Black American. And as someone who is experiencing that for the first time in my lineage, it was extremely impactful in a way that I feel like is unique, just different. Not better or worse, just different. With that being said, I felt like I had no place to hold these conversations without being that person who's always talking about, because at the end of the day, being black does not mean you always got to be talking about how painful it is to be black. But that is something that I was like processing and metastasizing, and I couldn't find a safe space to do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it all in my art, just to put it somewhere. And in 2020, when George Floyd was murdered, trigger warning, it was COVID. It was during lockdown. I was in college. My roommates left and went back home. I was by myself watching that play on TV over and over and over again. And I was so overwhelmed that I sat down and I wrote a poem, and that poem turned into a video, and that video, I posted it, and it went viral, like ultra viral. And it did something, it taught me something that I hadn't experienced before, which is that, you know, my words are impactful, and that people will listen if I speak, right? That was way back in this is before I even thought to myself I could be an artist. Okay, so coming back to now, a couple years ago, in taking my art seriously and realizing I had nowhere to put all of this, you know, energy, this really anger at the world that I was born into. I was like, I'm gonna just put it in my art. And at the same time, like, politics was getting more and more intense, like constant. Every time you open the news, it gets more and more intense. So I just started pouring all of it into the art. Because when it wasn't going into the art, it was going into the comment section. And that is not a healthy habit.
Not at all.
Not at all.
For sure.
Because they're trying to piss you off, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, with that being said, to come back to your question, why did I put that piece in this show? In 2025, Charlie Kirk, a man whose career is defined by his polarization, which just means he is openly racist and nobody does anything about it. In the middle of talking about how black people are the most violent with guns, gets popped in front of everybody. And immediately America looks at black people and says, y'all are gonna mourn him, right? Like, y'all are gonna, like, we're all gonna remember him, right? Like, don't say that part. We're gonna mourn him, right? And that felt absurd. Like, that felt like going underwater and trying to breathe. You know what I mean? And so I made that piece because I felt like I needed to have that conversation about, like, that expectation to take something that, and mind you, this is a type of violence that we experience consistently. We have to cope with this shit consistently, like and on widescreen 4K constantly. And you're telling us to turn around and take this energy that we spend venerating our ancestors who are always gone too soon, taken by that same type of violence that he was in the middle of championing, like literally dead in the middle of championing. You called it ironic earlier. Yeah, man. Yeah. Like halfway through a sentence of saying, I think the question he was asked, like, how bad is gun violence or something like that? And he was like, are you including gang violence? Something like that. That's what was falling out of his mouth.
Jesus.
And he gets caught with that very same thing. And then to turn around and say, hey, that same violence, I need you to all that magic that you share with your ancestors, all that energy that you share with your ancestors, that you venerate with them, because we know that this is not the only plane of existence. And this is where we could possibly draw power from. You telling us to turn around and give it to him?
Ooh. So
you feel me?
We were talking right before, and I was sharing with her, like, you know, like being a Christian and in, like, you know, Christian spaces, it was very different navigating that conversation, especially as a Black woman specifically, for many reasons that we don't have time to go into. But it was definitely one of those things I had to sit with God about. And I'm like, because the way that he went was very unfortunate. We don't want that for anybody at all, ever. It's just like, we got to have a very honest conversation. about a lot of things. If we're going to look at a situation, let's look at it wholly, holistically, without like censorship.
Absolutely.
Right? So thank you for sharing that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with the title, right, I want to share with you guys the title of the piece. It's called The American's Dilemma, Part 4, The Ballad of Chuck's Requiem. So the words dilemma, ballad, and requiem all carry very different meanings and emotional weight, right? How did you come up with the name of the piece, and like how do those ideas come together within the piece?
Sure. Wonderful question. So The American's Dilemma is actually an ongoing series that I'm working on. This piece is not the first. And it refers to, I mean, a dilemma is a situation where like you're kind of like back against the wall, like you're torn two different ways, right? Like you're in a conundrum, really, in a situational irony of like, what was the Kendrick album, Damned If I Do, Damned If I Don't. That's like a dilemma, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at all of the images in the American's Dilemma series, you'll notice that the Americans depicted are Black people. And I'm very intentional about not saying that because that's what makes it a dilemma. The word American, right, represents something that I, as an American, have yet to experience. That's a dilemma. Where something's wrong here. You know what I'm saying? Something's out of place. We get into the ballad of Chuck's Requiem. A requiem is a song of remembrance. The Beyonce album had just dropped, and like the country album, and she has a song called American's Requiem. And listening to it brought me fully to tears. And I was like, well, if we're talking about a song of remembrance, you know, that's usually played at like a mass or like a funeral or something, and we're in a period of time where America is literally demanding that we remember this man. What does that song sound like for him? And to me, it sounds like we are gathered here today because another one of somebody that looks like me was taken from us by that same violence, the same ideals that he championed. That's what that song sounds like to me. It sounds like Sandra Bland. It sounds like, you know what I'm saying, George Floyd. Sounds like Trayvon Martin. It's a very repetitive song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeesh. Well, my God.
Was that too radical? Sorry.
No, it's not. It's actually, it's not. I have so much to say, but we are on a time crunch.
For sure.
But no, I definitely, these are conversations that are really needed in a very unfiltered way, because a lot of times, like especially with like the spaces that I occupy, it's like you have to think one way, and then like if you think another way, it's like, do you really believe in Jesus? But I think that the God that I serve, he cares about these things, both sides equally.
Yes.
There is no I'm better. There is no you're worse. We are all made equal in his eyes. But it's like when these situations happen, it's like
you're trying to see which way would be what God would say. No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I get that.
So that's a really great explanation to the name of it. So like when you're creating a piece, like what usually comes first for you, or with this one specifically, what came first for you? Like the emotion, the concept, the story, or the visual itself?
With this one specifically, I would say the visual first, because I had already shot like a couple pieces of this series already. So I already kind of had how it was going to be laid out, where it was going to be shot. So I would say the visual came first, but I didn't want to just make the same thing over again without having new meaning and without feeling like I was telling the story that I aimed to tell. My usual process, though, is it starts from the place of the concept, from the story, because I feel like if I wanted to just take a picture of people, I could do that. If I wanted to just capture, you know, just some person, I could do that. I want the work to be striking. I want it to be unique, but I want it to be, I don't want it to be that for no reason. Like I want you to stand there and think while you stare at it. So that's where it starts from. It starts from me sitting there and thinking about what I want it to be about. Like And I wanted this one to be about that specific problem. How can you ask me to?
So this was made in response to that particular incident.
Yes, that
Got
exact
it.
incident. Like I was I had already planned the shoot. I had already planned everything. Like I already had a concept in mind that sort of was its own thing. Mm-hmm. And then that happened. And when it happened, at first it just happened, you know what I mean? So we were all just kind of reeling from it. And it was still traumatic because it's like you don't want to know that that can happen at any point in any time in the place that you live. Mm-hmm. But then what happened after was even more traumatic. It felt like I was overwhelmed with a similar feeling as the George Floyd situation, mm-hmm. because it was absurd to be held in conversation with people who were expecting empathy, grace, and understanding.
Yeah.
But cannot extend that to you when you experience the exact same thing. Which, by the way, 2 days later, we lost Trey Reed in a very aggressive way, and that didn't even hit a news cycle. You know what I mean? And it was very likely race related. So it's just like that era of time, I was just dealing with a lot. And with a lot of those feelings, I don't know, things impact me. I'm very sensitive. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm a sensitive
most
girl.
artists are.
Yeah, like
most people are.
So you're so fun, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is a great conversation.
Yeah, it is.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so who or what are some of your most, I guess, your strongest influences in how you approach your photography? Okay.
Don't be surprised if you don't hear any photographers on this list.
No, that's interesting. Go ahead.
How I approach my photography. Beyonce. Mm-hmm. She has a work ethic. I think mm-hmm. there are a lot of things we can say about Beyonce. How she sees music as pieces of history mm-hmm. is something that I try to mimic in my work.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar, same thing. Mm-hmm. How he sees his work as of the moment, as how he understands his work as culturally impactful.
Very present.
Yeah, that's something I don't think many artists have that. Mm-hmm. They release something and they hope people
like it.
But
it's tastefully present.
But he makes something and he knows that the culture mm-hmm. will move on behalf of it.
Yeah.
Assuming that sort of mentality. LeBron James.
I'm screaming. Elaborate, please.
You can tell he really respects his craft. Mm-hmm. I can't think of anyone that would still be doing what he does at his age if he couldn't find new nooks and crannies for him to explore, and if that didn't mean so much to him. Mm-hmm. And then Basquiat, Tyler Mitchell, he's a photographer that he's a current, like, one of the vanguard photographers right now. Mm-hmm. He shot Beyonce for Vogue in 2018. That was a whole thing. Ryan Coogler.
For sure.
Just raw ingenuity. Lots of men on this list, and that pisses me off.
Okay.
Viola Davis, Kerry Washington, really just people who, like, you can tell just really value what they do.
Yeah.
Like and will move mountains to, like, make sure they deliver something that's like that is better than anything that they've done before. That's what inspires me. I know that, like, I could have visual inspirations too, but it doesn't work that way in my brain, I don't think. I think
great answers.
Yeah, thank you.
No, great answers. Don't overthink it. No, that's a great answer. Yeah. That's really it.
That's it.
Hey, man. Cool. This has been a great episode. Okay. This is Faif Quin. Do you have anything else that you want to, like, leave people, I guess, actually tell them about? Like, do you have anything else coming up, like another exhibit or anything like that?
It's not confirmed, so I can't say anything about that.
For sure. Well, tell the people where they can follow you.
Okay, yeah. You can follow me at Faif Quin on everything. That's FAIFQUIN. Keep the faith, y'all. Definitely go to my website, faifquin.com, to check out the stuff that I have there. I will be releasing short films soon. I will be releasing more artwork soon, and we're gonna get to the music. It's coming.
I know that's
coming,
right.
It's coming.
And call me back for that one too.
It will. It will.
Call me back.
It will. It just, yeah. You know, I'm in the crafting phase. That's all it is.
That's it. Take your time.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for being here. I've had a blast. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been The Lab. I'm Charity Faif. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.